We're making a ribeye, probably mashed potatoes, asparagus. First step, always salt. You want about that amount of coverage of salt. We're gonna do all sides. This is every time. When you get whole big pieces of meat, I mean really pork, chicken, beef, but especially steak, you want this to penetrate in. You want this to be seasoned throughout, so a bite in the center of this without any salt directly on it is going to be seasoned. Nice amount of pepper on both sides. So we're also going to get the edges. So you might see people roll around steaks on cutting boards. This is why. This is what they're doing. There we go. That's prepping a steak. Steak prepped. This is going to sit on a rack just so air can flow around it in my fridge for about an hour. You could do it overnight. The outside is going to start to express some moisture. We're going to pat it dry when that happens, when we bring it out to cook. This is all part of the browning process. It's very important. If you don't do this step, you will have a less juicy steak. I know it seems counterintuitive. When this sits and rests after we're done cooking, this is going to retain its juices much better than an unsalted piece of meat, especially one that hasn't been sat for a second. So this is going to help break it down, tenderize it, do a bunch of stuff. Do not skip this step. If you do, you're making bad steak. There we go. That's it. Next, we're going to probably make mashed potatoes and asparagus. All right, time for potatoes. We brought the steak out. You can see some moisture on the outside. We're going to start some water boiling for the potatoes. You want to add salt to this, just like pasta water. Well, not quite as salty as pasta, but it's fine. That'll start moving. So this is how you peel a potato. Well, use the right side of this. So you go over the top. If you prep a lot of these at like a restaurant, you'll get really fast at it. But if you don't do that, then you don't have to be super fast. You don't do it like they do in TV shows or anything. You're not on Master Chef or whatever. You just want to make sure you get rid of your little brown spots. There we go. So it's pretty easy. Some people have some problems with this. Just make sure you have a good sharp or a good peeler. Kind of use your thumb for leverage. You can see this has some brown spots in it. Just cut them out. Easy. All right. So we're just going to make mashed potatoes. We are cutting these up. We don't want to waterlog these, so we do not want to overcook them in this. And they will oxidize if you let them sit for a long time. So we're going to cut it into like, let's do 1/6. Yeah, that should be fine. So while we're waiting for that to come up, let's use a paper towel just to pat this steak dry. We just want moisture to come up out of this thing. Get the sides. It's important too. So once we get the moisture off, when we put this in the cast iron later, you can see we're not getting a ton, but we're getting enough. Instead of boiling that off, just get it on the paper towel. I'm going to save that for another dab after this is done. The potatoes are going. They're going to boil for, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how big you cut them. And then, right now it's not going to do it. They're going to feel like, essentially like apples. When this pushes through very cleanly with a fork, we are going to be ready. Also, there's going to be a little carryover cooking, so we don't want to put them too hard. But these shouldn't take long. You've probably made mashed potatoes before. Just don't overcook them, because then a bunch of water is going to seep in, and they're going to be watery and weird, and not as tasty. We're also going to use a potato ricer for this. We're going to make a cream and butter situation. Well, I guess milk. A little garlic. We're going to have some thyme. We got parsley and onions for the finished product. So, really quickly, we're going to rice these. There we go. All right, everybody in the pool. Excellent. Okay. We are going to melt some butter. A tablespoon or so. It's gonna start melting. We're gonna end up using the rest of this. So this is already a little hot, so we don't want to go too hard here. So you want to pull it up off the heat probably. So here's what's gonna happen. This is gonna heat up. We need these garlics. Okay, you should be able to smell that immediately. We want delicious garlic flavor all up in this. You can toss the remnants in there. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is gonna melt into your sauce. You are going to put this with the potatoes. Beautiful, pulled it all out, just toss that in there. Perfect. All right, so just need a little bit of this. Get your garlic going in the butter. You can smell it immediately. The other thing we're gonna do is gonna put some sage in here. I got a couple sage leaves right there. Roll them up together. Cut down the center. And you want to cook sage. You do not want to put raw sage in anything. It's not going to be edible. Just keep chopping them up. There we go. Take the sage, pop it in the butter. It's going to fry up. Become edible. This is preheating, by the way. All right. That's plenty. We don't want this garlic to burn, so we want that in there. We're gonna take all of this. Take all of this and put it in there. I'm gonna get this fat going. It's gonna lower the temperature. Then we're gonna add milk. That thyme in there. Oh yeah. All right. We want a little milk. This is just gonna melt together. About the same amount, that's plenty. Because you don't want these potatoes to be too runny, but as you know, potatoes can take some dairy. So now you have roasted garlic, sage, some thyme. We're gonna let that steep for a second, just on a low heat. Put the lid on this for a second. This is heating up. I want this parsley. I want these onions. Okay, and then similar to like anytime you sort of cut leafy herbs, you don't have to do it perfect, but bundling them up in a thing just makes them easier. I always cut down the middle in between my fingers and then do the opposite. All of this is going into our potatoes. So you see this is smoking a little bit. I'm sure you can see that a little. Okay, olive oil down. You want enough. See how it shimmers and smokes immediately? All right, this is plenty hot. Turn our fan on because we're in our house. One last pat down. This is all gonna come together really quick. We're gonna do the asparagus last as this rests. Put the steak down, and when you do, press it. You wanna make sure that you get good connection. All right, now that's going. It's gonna wait for a second. All right, this is done. We just wanted to get this up to a simmer. You can fish out the thyme if you want. You can also get some of the leaves out if you want. You can skip the thyme step, but it will be noticeable. See how some of it fell off. You can also pick that clean. I just didn't want to do labor. This is going to go in, and we are going to use our fork to make it delicious. Okay. This will probably need salt. So we already got some butter, milk, garlic. Let me do this to the consistency you desire. They'll tighten up a little bit as they cool. And so as it mixes, so you can see, like, you know, All right, definitely need salt. A little bit more. A little pepper. Put in our green onions and our parsley. Little bits too. Delicious. All right. Well, that's pretty much done. You can add more butter if you want to taste. All right, time for a flip. You can see how we got a nice, even sear across the whole thing. Nice, even sear. At this point, I'm going to put a little butter on top. Now these we're just going to toss in there after this is done. A little lemon pepper. If you have fresh lemon, perfect time to use some fresh lemon zest. I also shave these. I normally don't, but I've seen some people clean them up a little bit. You know, I didn't do it like a French restaurant or anything. There's still things on here, but they're not as thick as some asparagus can get, so I didn't want to take too much off, but I'm gonna see if that cooks any different. All right, this is almost done. What we're looking for, it's like 135, 140 or so in the center, but we're only at 95. So we got a ways to cook, which is great. This is beautiful. All right, so we're gonna keep this going until it reaches an internal temp of like 130, 135. I'm just gonna go back in the same hole. We're at 110. All right, I think we're ready there. Let's see what the other side looks like. Piece to the side. Oh yeah, they are nicely caramelized. This is what happens when you do salt at the beginning. Get a nice crust. Look at that. So good. You want to make sure you get the fat sides. Nice and seared. Also rendered. The fat rendering is the best part of a ribeye, in my opinion. All right, maybe right there. One last kiss of heat, and we're done. Look at it, beautiful. All right, so we're gonna set this here to rest on the cutting board. It's just gonna rest right there. That's all done. This has to go down a little bit. So we don't want all of this stuff in there necessarily, so I'm just gonna absorb some of it. You can dump this out if you want, but just some of it. It's just a little bit too much fat for what we got going on. Just add it to my trash pile. Clean that up later. So we're just gonna toss these boys in right now, because these won't take long at all. Toss them around, get them in the fat. Got olive oil, butter, beef fat in here. All right. You can make a pan sauce too if you want, instead of doing more veggies or something. All right. A little lemon pepper. Like I said, if you have fresh lemon, that's the way to go. A little lemon zest, salt, pepper, Parmesan even. All right, you guys get happy. These are literally just gonna do this, roll them around until they're done. We are literally just gonna roll them around until they look good and crispy. This will rest for a few minutes, essentially as long as these cook, and we'll be right back. We're gonna finish these off with a little Romano. You do Parm if you want. And there we go. This is a steak ribeye. This is my favorite part right here, the little end. Oh yeah, pink in the center. So good. We'll cut down the middle. As you can see, pink in the center. Nice and perfect. Nice, juicy, seasoned all the way through piece of meat. Nice and juicy, dude. So that's how to steak. Quite easy. Might as well try one of these boys. Well, perfect. All right, I'm gonna go eat. That's steak dinner. This is a ribeye, mashed potatoes, Parmesan asparagus. Easy.